Hello gardening fans. Today I'm going to bring you on a tour where I harvest and see how things are doing in this middle of August garden. Northern New Jersey. In my rose bush is a bunch of spent blossoms. Gonna start deadheading those. Usually you're supposed to prune them to a 5-leaf bud so you keep getting blooms. You can see here I have my amaranth starting to flower. I might be able to, it doesn't have any seeds in there yet. I might be able to get a couple things out of here. So it makes these really tiny seeds. The mourning doves really like them, and the chipmunks tend to gather them in their cheeks and hide them in their burrows, so you can find little piles of these growing everywhere. I haven't watered these at all this season, and they just grow really reliably here. And it's been pretty dry summer too. They basically need no input. Those first few days that you plant them out, you probably should water them, but I didn't. I just kind of threw seeds in the floor, and sheer total utter neglect, and these plants thrive. It's a little bit shorter than it was last year. Last year this got to about 8 feet tall, but I think it's because I left a lot of the seedlings to grow around it, which kind of controlled its vigor a little bit more. Here I have a very small Nikita's Gift. I put this in the ground last fall, and it put out a lot of good growth this year. I'm going to be using this for scions to make more. Lavender is still putting out a lot of flowers. It smells awesome. This is a variety called Phenomenal. It's definitely a lot more suited to the East Coast because we get a lot of rain here sometimes, and regular lavender like Munstead can drown its roots out very quickly. This is a lot more resistant to that. Doesn't get any mold or mildew issues. It is phenomenal for a reason. This is my Chicago hardy fig. This is its first year in the ground, and I don't really see any figs on it yet. This might not be a really great location for it, but I can collect more scions off of this and multiply my plants, so that's cool. My asparagus fern is getting huge. It's still too young to harvest, but I should be able to get something off of this next year. It seems to like this location a lot. I have it all interplanted between my other plants that I have going on here, and it's just trucking along. I pruned away a lot of the branches on this peach tree after I picked all the peaches off of it. This is my June Gold one. And I spread out the branches. So this is going to be a 3-scaffold peach tree. So it's going to spread out here, and it grows out towards the sun. And I think I'm going to get even more peaches off of this next year, which is really exciting. I had about maybe 80 off of this tree, and that's probably after a lot of the chipmunks and squirrels were eating them. This is my early Alberta. It's still netted. It hasn't produced any of the peaches yet. I thinned them. They don't really seem to have a huge size on them. I don't think this tree is in that great of a position. I think the other one kind of outcompetes it a little bit. I might actually dig this out because this one seems to be doing so much better. And I really enjoy the flavor of this one. So I'll see how this one tastes. If it doesn't cut it, I'm just going to use this one, and I'll let that grow much larger and fill up the space here. This is our cucumber plant. It's finishing up for the season. I did plant this one a little bit later than the other one, but it seemed to give up earlier for some reason. I'm really excited for these. These are my favorite pickling pepper. They're called Sugar Rush Peach. They have an excellent flavor when they're pickled. They're thin-walled and very fragrant. And when they're pickled, they really do have kind of a peachy flavor to them. They're super sweet. These aren't super hot either, and you can definitely chop them up and put them on your food, and it's not gonna, make you die. This year I tried growing sriracha peppers, and these are a lot different than Fresnos. So when you have a Fresno and you're trying to eat them green, they taste a little bit too vegetal. These have a really nice flavor when they're green, very aromatic. And I can't wait to try. This one's becoming a little bit more red, but I'm gonna let it fully redden up And these are supposed to be open pollinated too, so I can save the seeds and hopefully plant them out next year. I just hope I didn't cross them with anything else accidentally. These are my shishito peppers. Probably waited a little bit too long to harvest these. Really, you want to harvest them when they're greenish. But I like the flavor when they're red. They're a lot sweeter. And they fry up just the same. But if you want to maximize your production, you probably want to be a little bit more on top of it. So this is a pepper that's no joke. It's a Trinidad Moruga scorpion pepper. I'll be trying a very small piece of this, but this is normally going to be dried or powdered or used for sauce or something. I don't like eating these straight up. A little bit too painful. This is an Italian cowhorn pepper. Look at that beautiful pepper. Early ripening, which is a really nice bonus. These are a pepper called Mad Hatter. I saw these on the rack, and I had to get them. Look how massive this plant is. This plant is 5 feet wide and probably getting near to 5 feet tall. It's a gigantic pepper plant. And look how many blooms are on here. Makes a really interesting pepper shape here. I'm going to lift all these leaves and you're going to see a bunch of little white eggplants. These seem to trellis really well. What you got to do is just push them through. And they just keep climbing. These are supposed to be dwarfing. They're only supposed to get 18 inches tall, but with the trellis, they seem to dump a lot of their vigor into fruit production. Super excited because I actually have figs this year on my Ronde Bordeaux. This is a potted fig tree. I have it in a self-irrigating pot that I made myself, and I can't wait to try this variety. Over here, we have lots of beans growing. These are Trail of Tear beans. I planted a ton of them this year. The rabbits and chipmunks like to dig them up, even with my netted protection. So I just overplanted, and then this, believe it or not, is only 3 different beans. And it's growing up this trellis, and it's filled in this space wonderfully. And now I'm getting tons of beans. I can't wait for these raspberries to start ripening up. These are the heritage raspberries. They create a firm red berry with a high flavor. Excellent fall bearer. The thorns are not too bad. I can grab these and not really get pricked. And the way I prune them, they actually grow dense enough for me to grow underneath my apple trees. This is a really big disappointment. These are the baby cake blackberries, and the production on them is just terrible. I really don't know what it is. It can't be a soil deficiency thing. It can't be a pollination issue, because the other raspberries I have growing and the blackberries I have growing down there have pollinated just fine and set tons of fruit. But these just don't seem to set any kind of fruit in their second bloom, which is the whole reason I got them. Their floricane fruits are nice, good size, decent flavor, but these just don't, as advertised, create that second flush of fruit that I was looking for as a pre-McCain blackberry variety. They are of dwarfing habit, but they do spread a lot. Over there I have one growing that spread from the planting all the way over here. That's about 8 feet from the original planting. So it just doesn't check a lot of boxes. I'm probably going to be tearing these out after they bear their fruit next year. If you do want to get a blackberry, I suggest you do Primark Freedom if you're looking for a blackberry that blooms and fruits twice in a year. Primark Freedom has those primocanes that will create fruit towards the later end and bear that fall crop. And the size of the floricanes were huge. They were thumb-sized. I'd never seen blackberries that large before. They set prolifically. They grow fairly densely if you're able to prune them out. But if you don't prune the canes, they'll get 25 feet long in a season. They'll get huge. One of these plants is probably enough for 2 people to eat off of, and I have a bunch of them here. So here I have my Chojuro Asian pears. It set a decent amount of fruit this year. A lot of them were eaten off by the chipmunks. They seem to like to eat them even when they're basically just dropped their petals. They'll eat the pea-sized pears off of them. I did have to net this. I trimmed it back a little bit because if I don't net these, forget about it. I won't get a single one. So I just get regular bird netting and I use binder clips to poke it apart. And then when I want to pick the fruit, I just take the binder clips off, take the netting off, pick the fruit as I go. These should be ripe in a few weeks. Very excited for that. So I was away on vacation and I wasn't able to weave these into the trellis like I wanted to. But cool part about this trellis, even if you forget to weave the tomatoes in, you can just use a piece of string and tie it to them, and they're really sturdy still. So I just use a piece of string, tie it right here, and I clean up my walkway a little bit. Also, I recommend, if you're going to use boxes, to space them a little bit further apart than I did. This 1.5-foot spacing is really not ideal for anybody who's average size. I'm only 5'5", so I can fit through here, but most normal sized people would not be able to sneak through this kind of an aisle. None of my slicers here are actually super ready. I've been pulling off a lot of the Rosella purples, and those have been awesome tomatoes, but I'm really excited. It's our first Tasmanian chocolate. Look how beautiful that tomato is. These are the Sweet Millions, and look how many tomato sets we have on here. This is a really, really nice tomato. This is just a non-adventurous, plain red cherry tomato. It's something I was looking for. It's really great for cooking and for salads and for giving away to people who aren't really trusting of the different colored tomatoes. And the best part is they don't split and crack nearly as much as the Super Sweet 100s. We've had floods of rain through periods of drought and really have not noticed any splitting or cracking on these. I can't recommend these enough. This is a really great variety to grow in New Jersey. This is, I think, my favorite wall out of all the trellises. This is the cherry tomato wall. And you can come out here every single day, pick a few cherry tomatoes. They're delicious. And the production is just insane. These are the Dwarf Eagle Smileys. A very rich tasting yellow tomato. These are black cherries. I finally have a few of these ripened. These actually grew up from last year's cherry tomatoes. I didn't plant these. They just kind of came up from seed. And I knew I grew them here last year, so I let them come up because my seedling disaster, I actually didn't have any this year, so I'm very happy these decided to come back up again. This trellis system is really nice, much nicer than most of the ones you can buy. The holes are large enough for your hand to fit through and for you to grab the fruits and take them out. A lot of the other trellis systems don't really have that benefit. Another great part about this is that it's very storm resistant. We had a pretty bad storm recently, high winds, downpour rain, and these stood still. I mean, there was nothing. I could probably do pull-ups on these. They're held in with rebar, pounded, 2 feet into the ground. These are probably hurricane proof. So this is what I picked for today. And this is from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants. You could probably make do with 2. And this is only a 4-foot section one way. So 4 feet this way, 4 feet on this trellis. And I have probably close to 15 pounds of tomatoes. And I'm picking something like this once or twice a week during peak production. It's definitely worth it to grow your own food.